When you think about what makes a nonprofit successful, your mind probably jumps straight to the mission, right? But what if the real secret sauce is its people? That's what we're going to dig into. We'll look at how the best NPOs thrive by investing in their own team, and we'll focus on some really common HR mistakes and best practices, especially within the Indian legal landscape.
So, when you look at the really high-performing nonprofits, they all tend to share three things. First, they have a rock-solid identity. They know exactly who they are. Second, they're obsessed with being effective and keeping things simple. And third, they have this culture where learning and innovating is just part of their DNA. So, what's the one thing that ties all of this together? Well, it really boils down to an idea that's as old as time, but one that's so easy to overlook when you're in a rush to do good work out in the world. And that idea is this: investing in your own team's well-being is just as critical as helping your external beneficiaries. You've heard the saying, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. Well, an organization is exactly the same. Look, the bottom line here is super simple. How your team feels directly impacts how successful your mission is. A team that feels valued and supported, they don't just do the work, they own it. They step up, they take on more responsibility, and that passion they have, it becomes this incredible magnet for your cause. Okay, so how do you actually build this amazing team, especially when you're probably working with a tight budget? The answer is something called a total rewards approach. And this is about looking way beyond just the paycheck. I mean, yes, salaries have to be competitive for your sector, but it's the other stuff, the indirect compensation like genuine recognition, awards, and just a great positive culture. That's what makes your best people want to stick around and grow with you. All right, now for the really interesting part. Let's dive into some super common HR myths. Because in India, a lot of really well-meaning nonprofits are running on some dangerous assumptions that could land them in serious legal hot water. This first one is probably the biggest and the riskiest myth of them all. It's this belief that because you're a charity, you somehow get a free pass on all the standard labor laws that for-profit companies have to follow. And let me be crystal clear. That belief is completely, and I mean dangerously, wrong. Operating like this isn't just a minor mistake. It can open your organization up to huge legal penalties and really damage your reputation. The legal reality is this: it doesn't matter what your NPO structure is, whether you're a trust, a society, or a Section 8 company. The exact same comprehensive labor laws that apply to for-profit businesses, they apply to you too. And these laws are there for a really good reason: to make sure the workplace is fair and just for absolutely everyone. Okay, that brings us to myth number 2. You see this one a lot. To get around the hassle of statutory benefits, things like retirement funds or gratuity payments, many NPOs hire people as consultants instead of employees. It feels like a clever little workaround, right? But is it actually legal? Well, in reality, the law has a pretty simple test for this. Just ask yourself these questions about your so-called consultant. Are they working directly under your supervision? Are they not allowed to work for anyone else? And are they doing a core, ongoing job for your organization? If you're nodding yes to these, then the law is probably going to see them as a deemed employee, no matter what you call them in their contract. And it's not just labor law. India's tax code makes this distinction crystal clear. The rules for tax deducted at source, or TDS, are totally different for salaried employees versus professional consultants. If you use the wrong tax section, that's a massive red flag for the regulators. Okay, so with all these complexities, how do you actually navigate this stuff and protect your team? The answer isn't to guess and hope for the best. It's to create a clear, written HR policy. Think of it as your essential strategic playbook. And let's be really clear here. We're not talking about some dusty binder full of rules that sits on a shelf. Strategic HR is all about intentionally managing your people in a way that directly helps you achieve your mission. A really strong playbook always starts with the heart and soul of your organization, your people, and your culture. This means you've got to clearly define your values, your whole approach to hiring and performance reviews, how you handle the tough stuff like grievances or even termination, and, just as important, how you celebrate your wins and recognize great work.
Then, the other critical half of your playbook is all about operations and compliance. This is where you write down the nuts and bolts of how things work, your policies on leave, travel reimbursements, and of course, those employee versus consultant definitions. Getting this stuff right is what keeps the lights on and ensures your organization is running smoothly and, most importantly, legally.
All right, so let's see what this policy actually looks like in practice. We're going to zoom in on three really concrete areas: hiring, contracts, and leave.
Okay, take hiring foreign nationals, for example. The visa rules here are absolutely non-negotiable. If they're an employee, they must have an employment visa. If they're a volunteer, they need a specific visa that's marked volunteer. You absolutely cannot use a tourist visa for any kind of work, paid or not. It's illegal.
And there's more. There's also a really strict financial requirement. To even qualify for an employment visa, a foreign national has to be paid a gross annual salary of more than $25,000. And that's not a suggestion. It's a hard and fast legal rule. Your policy also has to be super clear about the different types of employment. Someone you hire on a fixed-term contract for a specific project is just not the same as a permanent staff member. Their benefits are different, their rights are different, and spelling this out from day one is what's going to save you from major headaches and disputes down the road.
And finally, please remember this. Leave is not a perk. It's a right. Having a clear, fair, and legally sound leave policy is an absolute must. What you're seeing here are the accepted norms in India that you should be building into your playbook. This covers everything from casual leave all the way to the mandatory 26 weeks of maternity leave that's required by law.
So, after everything we've talked about, it really all comes down to one question you have to ask yourself. Is your approach to HR a strong safety net, something that truly supports your team and protects your mission? Or are you, maybe without even realizing it, walking a tightrope where just one tiny misstep could put everything you've worked so hard to build at serious risk? Really think about that. The choice is yours.